And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the ESL Arena in Katowice. Of course, if you didn't know yet, this is the ESL 1 Cologne offline qualifiers, and we're now heading into Game 6. This will be the last match of today, in which we see teams that went 1-1 in the last 2 days. After that, we're going to be getting over towards our major qualifier games, but there's still an excellent match to get through first. Splyce started off the tournament in interesting fashion, really. Hellraisers on Cobblestone definitely wasn't their best friend of a map, and they have said since then that Professor Chaos was sort of struggling to make an impact on the game. Since then, though, we did see the play up against the Renegades. It was all about shotguns, removed silencers, and mind games as they took Renegades to the task and ended up taking that one 16-14. So, of course, it leaves them at 1-1. Now, their opponents have been very much a pendulum. No one can really quite figure out where they're at. EnVyUS started off this tournament in excellent fashion, coming out of the gates beautifully against Immortals. Apex was getting onto those sites, making sick entries and sticking around. The second game, of course, we saw them. It was a little bit of a different story there as well. We saw Apex still making impacts there as well, but unfortunately there was no follow-up for him, and we did see Envy capitulate on Mirage. Still uncertainty about how it's all working with this new approach, should I say, and of course with Devil calling now in the middle. We'll have to wait and see. There's another game for us to maybe assess their performance. This would be a great time to see how they're working. Obviously, they're playing off stage at the moment as we are readying for our next one on the main. But now we can pass over to our experts desk to take this one right away.
Awesome, setting the scene there from Mitch/Uber. We've got ourselves an intriguing one. I use the word intriguing. I also want to kind of explain why. We have a team known as Splyce who have acquired about 8 rounds at the previous major, and then we have a team that have won a major. This is the differences we're working with here.
But they came to the same place the last major.
Yeah, I thought you might make that point. Okay, cool. Yes, so this is what we're talking about. The pendulum is a great way to describe Envy, actually. You know, this kind of really hard to understand the journey that they've underwent. And it is always a question of what form they are in. And I don't want to be kind of too BM about this, but Natu, Vendetta, does it really matter what form Envy are in versus Splyce?
It shouldn't.
Right. Okay, well, that's the end of the analyst desk segment. Let's get to game. Come on, guys, we've got to do something. We've got to do something. I'm going to try and make you talk a little bit as to the way this is going to go.
Okay, so Splyce have played Cobble twice so far in this qualifier. It hasn't obviously gone the way they've hoped for the better part of it, but they did manage to get a win off of Renegades. So, you know, they have a win there. And like David said, you know, when they first win, they have to celebrate it and take it for what it is. Envy on their side, they did not have a good showing on Cobblestone versus Gambit. Okay. That was not a very inspired play. We saw some very interesting, I guess, purchasing methods from the new in-game leader in Devil, the 4 Mac-10, 1 AK buy. So I guess, you know, they're testing, they're experimenting things, but overall, not a very good.
Have you played the theory crafting game with the 4 Mac-10 buy, by the way, Natu? Have you thought about this? So can you justify 4 Mac-10s and an AK yet?
You can.
Well, I think I've seen that before on some occasion. I think it might have actually been Envy as well. But I mean, it can obviously surprise teams. You can just jump, you know, and run and gun with those weapons. But I don't know. I mean, AKs are AKs.
I think the big thing is it's a very easy way, or it's a very cheap way of potentially abusing the fact that the CT economy is still not very balanced out yet, or not very strengthened at that point. So they might skimp on head armor to get more nades. Right. And Mac-10s versus no head armor is obviously extremely effective. That might have been the thought process. I still think it's a pretty big leap to take if you're Envy at that point.
Also, you know how I provide deep analysis, gentlemen? You know how, if you win the knife round, they're going to win the game?
Yeah.
I've got another one for you. They both have circular logos, and so there's a lot of similarities there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's stronger, S or N? Or the V, for that matter?
Oh, you know what? I think
there's 2 letters actually.
I like
in
the way the
circle.
snake looks a little more.
Okay,
so I think
it's more vicious.
Yeah, it's pretty. But the veto is going on anyway, and we'll stop making these silly jokes. So just see what Splyce are going to go with. They've got 2 maps left in the pool.
Yes. And well, yeah. Normally previously they've vetoed cash in both games they've played, but that's also something that Envy has done. So this could be a case of Envy wanting or forcing Splyce's hand to veto cash here. Otherwise, we might be in for a bit of a silly game on cash.
Okay, it's happening again. We are going to be seeing...
Cobblestone.
Is that our 7th or our 8th cobblestone?
7th.
7th cobblestone of the qualifier going down here. Of course, it is all about those drops. I'm joking. Please don't ruin the chat again.
It's too
I've
late.
just made it worse. I've
It's
just
too
made it
late.
worse. Yeah, okay. Anyway, moving away from Twitch chat, and you can see it's going to be going down on cobblestone. And actually, you know what? Let's go back to that discussion around cobble. It's much more relevant now that we did see not the most fantastic form from EnVy on the map.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the greatest. I think in large part, though, a lot of the things they did incorrectly on their T side was mainly down to poor execution and poor timing, and that's not necessarily the fault of Devil. It's more of a cohesion thing, and they did that great the first day on Dust 2 versus Immortals. So I don't see any reason why it's not in the realm of impossibilities that they're going to mess it up today as well. I think it's very likely that they will have shapen up some things, and if they just do 50% better of what they did versus Gambit, it should be enough to beat Splyce.
Yeah, I mean, playing a team like Splyce, you just have to apply pressure. You are the better team of the team. You have better individuals on the team. So what they were doing wrong in EnVyUS last night on Cobblestone was that they tried to execute to the B bomb site, for example. They threw all the Molotovs, the smokes, the flashes in, but instead of committing to the bomb site, they were staying on that B plateau way too much time, just leaving the CTs too much room to play with and making it uncomfortable for themselves. Mo said thank you, 30-something kills with that AWP.
Yeah.
Mostly on that bomb side as well.
We did see Splyce versus Renegades on this map as well. I mean, I remember there was a discussion about the shotguns and how powerful they were. I do remember another observation we made was Davey and his proficiency on that T side. Was there anything that stood out to you from Splyce's Cobble? I know that might be a bit of a stretch.
Well, I guess in both Cobble games we've seen, Davey, as you mentioned, he was very proficient about actually getting down into drop room and creating some space there. Whether or not the rest of his team was actually able to make something out of it wasn't always the case, but it's a great starting point at least for you because it does allow you to open up both bomb sites. If you're going towards H, you constantly have Davey as a threat potentially to cut off rotations or actually just be the one creating the initial distraction towards A. So that's definitely something they can work off of. I'm assuming EnVy will be, somewhat aware of it. So
well,
it's going to be tough.
EnVy won the knife, so unfortunately, according to me, they're going to win the game. This could be the biggest mismatch of the offline qualifier. Splyce, they do it all with a smile on their face, but they're coming into this, as most games, as the underdog. It is going to be versus EnVyUS, though, and it's just a question of what form are the Frenchmen in? And that question is about to be answered by this game on Cobblestone. Take it away, casters.
I'm upset, Metas.
Okay. Would you like to enlighten me why?
It's on Cobble again.
Yeah.
This is becoming very repetitive now.
Where's my overpass?
Yeah.
My favorite
The fact that Nuke has been played just as many times as Train, and still we haven't seen Overpass. It's slightly disappointing.
It's quite depressing.
Thanks, Dignitas.
Yeah, thanks, EnVyUS. I mean, this is their best map, right? So you go into this, historically it's the best map. They didn't play particularly well yesterday, but I think Natu actually made a pretty solid case as to one of the reasons why. Splyce, Alex hit the nail on the head. This is probably the most mismatched game that we've casted so far. When you look at EnVyUS on paper compared to Splyce, they themselves have a pretty good sense of humor about it. They're like, we don't win very often, so when we do, we go ham. That's why we're so loud. So they themselves realize that they aren't the favorites coming into this. But again, it's the huge question mark next to EnVyUS's name. Which side of them shows up today? Is it going to be the world beaters on Dust 2 on the first day of the tournament, or is it going to be the squad that just got completely collapsed yesterday?
I mean, if there was some reason or some way that Splyce are able to win this match, it would just like...
One of the biggest upsets I think I've ever casted if Splyce win this, like hands down.
Easily. But judging from that, Splyce also had quite a bit of trouble when they played this yesterday too, and looked very scrappy, especially towards the end of things. And overall, the biggest issue I still feel for Splyce on this map is how one-dimensional the T side is. There's nothing special about it at all. It's very easy to get a read on that. If EnVyUS are getting track of that right from the beginning, I don't imagine Splyce will get much traction on the T side.
No, I completely agree, and maybe they realize that themselves. Potentially realizing they have nothing to lose, they're just going to try something crazy. I think that's one of the only ways that Splyce win this game, if they just literally throw caution to the wind and try strats that we've never seen from them before. Because if they play their standard Counter-Strike, EnVyUS will be able to match them.
I mean, we see that, if you go back to the last game when Tyloo's playing Cloud9, you see that sort of at the beginning where Tyloo on their T side it starts off great, they play these really aggressive strats and it's just punishing Cloud9. Like, they don't even know how to counter it because it's coming into the site so quickly. But as soon as they slow it down and go back to that very default and basic play, immediately they've lost their steam. So I think that's actually a great strategy for Splyce, to try these unorthodox strays. Try things that EnVyUS are never going to suspect you to do, despite the fact that you're like sort of an underdog team and you expect them to do some less organized sort of strats and whatnot. So for EnVyUS here now, so long as they can keep their cool, I feel like they should have an easy win here. But considering we've seen them struggle, there is that teeny-weeny chance that could allow Splyce to pull through here as well.
I suppose there's always a chance for EnVyUS, honestly. Like, if you go back sort of 6, 8, 9 months ago, this is 100% EnVyUS, 100%.
Yeah, like
now
no
I'd
doubt.
say it's like 90%. It's still, you know, highly favoring EnVyUS, but there has been some issues with EnVyUS. Obviously, the whole Kirishima was the problem. Tweet that came out that I think tilted Kenny.
That was a pretty good tweet.
It was pretty epic, to be fair. And Kenny kind of bit down on that a little bit. He answered, and there was a couple of bad words said between the two of them, bit of bad blood maybe. I'm sure it's all sorted out now, or at least maybe. Going to mend those fences, but EnVyUS haven't been in great shape. And this is a map where Kenny S typically does perform pretty well with the AWP. Is he today? Who knows?
Yep. And flipping things over once again to the Splyce side, Davies, your man, probably the most consistent, I'm going to say probably is the most consistent player on the team from a match-to-match basis. You're always seeing him near the top of the scoreboard. And then from there, it's kind of a mix-up as to who's going to be supporting him with that one. Arya's doing okay, but there's also been matches where Arya is entirely flatlined. And beyond that, I feel like Jason R, just over the past couple of months in general, not even here, he's had some good stuff going, but it's sort of fallen off as late. A lot like Rush on the Optic roster too. And Abe is a player, if you go back to the last major, like Abe's pulling off some incredible clutches and whatnot in the past. But that's another thing. A lot of this comes and goes for Splyce, and you can't really reliably count on these things being brought in from match to match.
No, that's very true. And the other issue as well is these teams have never played each other before. I think it's not something that was mentioned at the desk. They have never played one another. Now, obviously, coming into this, Splyce would have been able to research countless games for EnVyUS and the different incarnations that these guys have played for in teams, whereas on the other side, there's not going to be as much readily available information for EnVyUS to look into. I don't know if we maybe have that as an advantage to Splyce or not. I know you're picking at straws at that point, but ultimately that's what Splyce have to do in this game to win.
So we are going into the match now, ladies and gentlemen. Splyce onto the T side with EnVyUS jumping onto the CT side, and immediately they start off aggressively, but it's met with a lot of aggression coming back at them from Splyce. However, look at this wraparound outside of Long A. Happy's going to be trying to go out to punish, but Arya holds the line for now. In fact, he picks up 2 kills. Happy and Kenny S both going down, and now it's NBK trying to hold just inside of the suicide steps in a 3-on-2, and for Splyce, they'd actually got the bargaining chip in their corner. They can take this wherever they want to. Devil, though, catches Davey jumping down from drop room. And Davey now is going to try to throw that flashbang in the other direction. It works, but Devil is able to recover and take him down.
I'm surprised that Devil was able to recover there because I thought he completely whiffed his opportunity. Not quite as much of a whiff as Stillo earlier today. It was a bit rough to watch in the first game. It's on Reddit, by the way, if you're curious as to what I'm talking about. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it. But now Devil is in a 1v2. The bomb's not planted, so time to burn. As far as he's concerned, he's heard footsteps with the left-hand side, gets the headshot onto Ari, but has no idea where Abe is. So Abe has the advantage. Also with the Tech 9, he should be favourite to clutch this one out, but Devil's managed to scamper the opposite side of the rock, and suddenly out of nowhere, this is now doable for EnVyUS. He never thought Devil would clutch this 1v2.
Devil now with one shot left, and he finds it. One tap is all it's needed to take down Abe. And it's Devil, the new IGL, in fact, for EnVyUS, that recovers things and gives them the pistol.
Welcome to Splyce.
The tilt starts early.
I'm already triggered. Then again, I did have to cast the Renegade Splyce game. So.
That is true. You're used to it by now.
Yeah, I suppose. As used to it as you can be.
You should come cast the NAP early.
Oh, you casted it as well, didn't you? We casted together. Of course. You know the feels.
It's a very common thing. We're dealing with it ever since the minor last time.
Wow. So P250's in the flashbang. Kevlar for Davey. And Splyce will be looking to just force their way in a position that we saw Penny playing earlier for Immortals with the AWP. Apex is going to go down, and he is one of the players that you're expecting to be a driving force for EnVyUS, but what is going on? 2 kills have gone down for EnVyUS already. Both Kenny S and Apex are 6 foot under for the time being.
NBK doing a good job of recovering things, however, with Devil finding that nice headshot on Davey from up on the balcony. Comes to Happy now to try and close things up. Bit disorganized there with Jason R, but Happy is able to round the corner, recover, take him down. A couple losses coming in there, but nothing too notable just as of yet there. Splyce, unfortunately, without finding a plant, you can't really call that a good round.
Yeah, neither of the rounds have yielded a plant, so that's why they find themselves in a situation of half buying. Arya not going to get anything in this other than a P250, so we can afford the AWP, full Kevlar and all that good stuff. Whereas on the other side of the coin, Kenny S goes for a glass cannon AWP. It's an interesting decision, all things considered, that a lot of players in a similar position may like just get a pistol with Kevlar and realize that the rest of their team can pretty much carry them through this round. The reason I say it's interesting is because you have a glass cannon AWP, so one of these upgraded pistols could take Kenny out, and then things get very, very awkward for EnVyUS. This is a key to success potentially, but if he lands shots, then that's completely neutralized.
EnVyUS going to pick things up there to start us off now. Apex also rounding up the suicide steps. Easy cleanup for him. Professor Chaos and Abe both end up going down. Happy a little bit on edge there. Is actually caught by Davies. He retreats down from the drop area, taking down Happy with the dualies in hand too. Now he's got an SMG, and he's going to go for that drop control, but he leaves the bomb behind. NBK says no to that one, however. And for Arya, they'll just be tapped away by Devil. EnVyUS will lead 3-0 as we get into that first gun round.
Yep, the pickup risk has been rewarded for Kenny, so now he is going to have a full buy. MP9 remains in the hands of Apex. Meanwhile, Splyce, after their previous 2 patient rounds, are going to get an AWP in the hands of Arya, who is top fragger for his team with 4. Actually, all the kills are shared between Davey and Arya. 3 players with nothing.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There you go. It's all about sequences.
It's very entertaining. Straight flush. So for EnVyUS now, playing actually pretty close up to the broken wall, expecting just a direct B play, and honestly, I would expect it too, but it's not the case for him here on Splyce in their first gun round. They're actually pushing over here towards the A side right now. Some pressure going inside of the connector, but a lot of it working its way out towards long A, where, again, NBK is going to be your point man to try and stop some of this one. Abe watching it for now. With the blind peek, Abe is actually going to end up winning the duel there. Doesn't actually take down NBK as he falls back into the corner there with the molly coming out too. Professor Chaos takes it down. Almost like Apex was not going to be able to get that kill on Professor Chaos, but he does take him down and finds an even trade down to a 4-on-4.
NBK for Professor Chaos trade-off. EnVyUS still in a fairly solid position. The issue is they've lost mid-control, and in doing so, that forces Apex into a very close, claustrophobic environment. Of course, with the MP9, that's typically where you want to be. But as he's fallen down now, a lot of this rests on the shoulders of Happy potentially, as Devil has been picked off as well. Happy with the perfect timing, peering round, takes down Jason. And Kenny S and Happy now with 40 seconds to try and clutch this 2v2.
So Davey now creeping himself forward as well to try and still forge away into this bomb site. Kenny inside of the little shed there. They've got no clue he's there, but nicely done. It's all brought down to Kenny now, so in fact he's going to be a bit hesitant about peeking out once again. Nonetheless, though, moves out, and they have no clue he's here. The first one should be for free, but he misses that shot, and he's going to miss the second one as well, so Davey shuts it down, and with that, Splyce on the nice comeback, and they're going to be the ones to pick up the first gun round.
Kenny has been struggling this tournament. Even on Dust 2, when they swept aside in that first matchup, I think it was mainly Apex. I think he dropped 25 kills, somewhere around there.
Same thing yesterday, too. Apex was like by
exactly.
a large margin the frag leader for EnVyUS yesterday.
He has been struggling, Kenny, and it's frustrating to watch because he's such a talented player. Like, he has the potential to solo carry a game.
Such an emotional player there too, and I imagine
sure.
with EnVyUS being in the struggle area, and that it definitely has to have an adverse effect on his gameplay. These guys want to get back in tip-top shape, but with it struggling so much recently, I imagine at least in his little mental palace there, Kenny cannot really be too secure at this point.
I completely agree with you, and that is something that will just play just in the back of your mind. Especially in those clutches, you expect him to at least get a kill for his troubles before falling, but as it stands, EnVyUS still have the 3-1 lead. Splyce do have a gateway back into this game though, as EnVyUS has highlighted with the double for Masters and a Mag 7, don't have the greatest economy behind them. Already dipped into their bank account, nearly depleted the funds. Bomb coming towards A, and that is going to be into the hands of Apex, who is the player on form for EnVyUS. Let's see what he can do.
Apex having to retreat back down the suicide steps, actually, and they're going to let him run away. He was able to escape down to the site, and he knows he should have been able to hear those footsteps stomping around out towards long A. So the presence is very well known, but they haven't seen it come out onto the site as of yet, so not going to be drawing in any rotations. But now the flashbang, we would assume players like Happy would start moving in, but as well, they have to be careful of a pinch coming down through drop, and it's Ari on the B site that's going to look to try and do that, but from in the site itself. Kenny S, though, doing a bit of a dance here with some of the guys, and that's going to be a great nade. A second one follows it up, too. Davey and Jason now down so low, and the first flash comes out. It blinds almost everybody on the team that's peeking around this corner, and as with the second, they've lined up. Kenny's going to grab 2, make it up for the play in the last round. Jason does trade him down, but the damage has already been done, and now they only have 10 seconds left to get control of this site.
Exactly the situation that faces Splyce, and it's got a whole lot worse because of the fact they were so low, and they're probably worried as well in case the CT was coming up behind them. They wanted to die before the end of time so that they didn't have horrendous bank accounts. They do anyway, in fairness. 1,400 and Aria, the rest of the team, not much more. So EnVyUS have broken the economy of the terrorists, and now the MP9 is going to be good for this round. Apex will be able to use that again to a very strong effect, but this is kind of what we're expecting, that EnVyUS their individual skill and just general talent probably overshadow Splyce, and we haven't seen anything truly spectacular from either team. It's just been solid Counter-Strike so far.
Apex out towards long A actually does spot a player sitting behind the fountain there, but you're not going to take a mark on it. This is yet that still aligns with the sort of default you've come to expect from most teams, and especially Splyce. But however, Apex is caught tossing out a flashbang, and Ari is going to be able to punish that.
He's playing a fairly forward position, so it's easy for EnVyUS to just get the double stack. In fact, triple stack now. Looking across the long to make sure they don't scamper away onto the A site and get a free bomb plant. But that is an MP9, and there are some Tech 9s and P250s in the hands of Splyce. So now he's going to keep EnVyUS at bay for now. MBK going to be holding mid. Kenny S behind him, watching long. So far so good for Splyce, but it's going to be difficult for them to burst out from this position. It's all well and good getting the first kill, but with this weaponry, can you rinse and repeat? The answer is a resounding no as the bomb is dropped out in mid. Davey is going to get the long-range Tech 9 headshot onto Kenny S, and in doing so, this really puts MBK in a sticky situation because he has to watch multiple angles. Just as he's starting to back away, gets tagged up from behind, runs out of bullets. He's going to go for the jugular anti-frag onto Professor Chaos. But now it's on Davey, 35 seconds with a Tech 9 and an AWP. He's got the bomb, he's going to be charging down on MBK. If he got that kill, it could have been all over for EnVyUS, but instead they get themselves a 5th round.
Still very, very close though, and going into this match, it's not what you expect the rounds to be coming down to the wire and being this close between these two teams. Thankfully, the scoreline is a little bit more reflective of what we expect. 5-1 currently in the favor of EnVyUS, but still, Splyce were left with a choice this time of being able to force up, but with a couple players sort of being just below the margin and probably would have been looking at downgrades to Galeals and maybe even Tech 9s if they wanted to focus on utility. It's not right to go for it as of yet, so just going to be going for a Tech 9 armor buy this time around here. Very quick outside, but Devil is actually blind from that flashbang, so he's going to go down first. NBK does trade it back out now. Happy trying to hold position, and what? They just walk into the flames. Davey and Professor Chaos both go down to that one, and even finds another pickup onto Arya. That's a big mistake from Splyce, and now for Jason R, he's going to find one pickup here against Happy, but he still has 2 more to go. And it's not going to work out. Apex does approach him from the dropper room and take him down.
It's like a hard hit of nostalgia. I don't know if it's before your time, Blue, but did you ever play a game called Lemmings?
I know about it, yes.
That just reminded me of Lemmings.
Yeah.
Like just jumping off the side to your death. Double molly kill for Happy. And then to finish things off nicely with the M4. That's what Splyce were going for. As he said, they couldn't afford a full buy, but this round's not exactly spectacular either. They don't have an AWP, they got a Tech 9 in the hands of Arya instead. They do have grenades. So, can they put these to use? MBK rocking out with the dual lease. Wait, does he not have a primary weapon?
No, he does not.
Alrighty then.
Apex, though, in the roost here, is actually going to get a lot of damage back out. Takes down Jason R. He does get traded, but you can see the health pools on both Abe and Arya should easily make up for him going down there. And now, Kenny, he's going to get flashed, but he spots these players approaching, and there's a good connection shot. The bait actually ends up biting them back because he finds a connection with the player behind him. NBK will go down after that bit of a strange buy right there, and Kenny's under a bit of pressure himself here too, so there is still a chance for the guys to get control of the site. The problem, though, is that one of the remaining Splyce players, Davey, is way over here on the B bombs, and I think he's actually called for them to rotate away and come over towards this site instead, which could prove to work out, but it's a fairly long rotation.
EnVyUS still biting hard on this A bait. Not really giving any respect to this rotation, and the fact they've just lost Happy, who was the closest member of EnVyUS that could get a quicker rotation over to the other site. He's going to put the spanner in the works. That will get shut down from Davey close range. And now this is Splyce's chance. They're not going to get many of them in this game, you have to feel. So they're going to have to convert each and every one of them. Kenny, low health, in a 1 versus 2, and the luxury of a bomb plant for Splyce.
Also taking, if he's even going to go for this retake at this point, taking a very long path to do it. No, there's no way he's going for the retake among this one. So he's just going to give it up. He's going to let Splyce have the second round, and now going to be focusing on saving the op since the money actually might not allow them to go for a buy here. It's kind of going to be on the edge, but considering their stature in this matchup, they might be able to justify going for a force-up with Kenny staying alive.
Yeah, if Kenny can stay alive, he can drop, and then Devil will probably be the guy that gets dropped in M4. They could actually rummage together a buy. I feel like they probably would. Knowing EnVyUS as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like forced by Kings.
Plus they're playing against Splyce, so
yep,
like confidence factor should be through the roof right now.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You certainly would, because they're taking a commanding lead. Yes, Splyce just got a second round, but well played from Splyce. Take nothing away from them. Here comes the drop and the buy in effect. Actually, MBK goes for the Mag 7 instead of the assault rifle. Of course, it is definitely a viable weapon. No doubting that. They have kits, they have nades, they have everything you pretty much want the side of EnVyUS.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 really good positions where that shotgun can do some pretty good work here on this map. So he's going to play in the most common one for now, which is going to be back over here towards the drop room. And we'll just wait for any sort of presence to come out from Splyce. Initially moving quick, but there's a quick run boost from Kenny to get him on platform. Unfortunately, he's not going to get a chance to take anybody down initially, and ooh, a bit unfortunate on the timing there. Unscopes just when it looked like one of the members of Splyce was peeking. But still, he's here now. And as soon as Splyce walk out, it's going to be at least 1 kill he should be able to grab.
Yeah, we did see Kenny using that same boost yesterday against Gambit, and he got quite a few kills from it because it was just mitigating the earlier smoke. You saw players getting picked off with flashbangs in their hands, just not expecting it whatsoever. But this time it's not going to yield a kill. Splyce stacking up just outside of drop zone, looking to go in there. Nobody's actually home for EnVyUS, so more of a passive play. A bit surprised considering that MBK has the max 7, goes in a bit too late, will cost him his life, and now it's down to Kenny S to hold down by himself while the rest of his team starts to come on through. Misses 2 shots, that could be at the cost of his life, and indeed the round, unless Apex can dig him out, and that's exactly what he's done with 1 kill. Abe steps up, and he's going to fall down next. And EnVyUS get the 7th, and again, reset the round loss bonus for Splyce.
Nicely held by EnVyUS, and now with this, keeping the economy of Splyce under very good control too. Constant resets coming in, and still holding a very dominating lead. So immediately onto a full save now for Splyce's members. We do see a couple late buys coming in. Professor Chaos had a bit of extra cash, so he's going to be donating some Tech 9s out while he himself picks up the Deagle. Beyond this, though, very light round with these guys. They only have those upgraded pistols, and Arya does bring a random flashbang to the party.
I wouldn't be too surprised as well if we do see EnVyUS run with the Mac 10 composition. There's a bit of BM, or as you said, the over-brimming confidence comes in.
The tilt factor.
Or tilt factor, yeah, depending on how you want to look at it. Over on that T side, I think we will see some fairly sporadic strats come to fruition, especially if the scoreline continues to slip away from Splyce, as you'd expect it will. Apex will eviscerate Arya. Couldn't do anything from that.
BK actually getting knocked out before
Nice
he
run.
can take down someone. Nicely returned there by Abe. After he himself is almost knocked out.
Interesting.
I think he just wants to get it away from them.
Okay, I was like, really?
Yeah.
You're going to go for the Max 7 close range, fair enough. But yeah, as you say, he's just going to try and throw it out of drop to make sure that the pesky terrorists can get their hands on it.
Happy, gonna deck Davey as soon as he tries to work his way back outside. So slowly, the members of Splyce are being dwindled down. And that bomb, just to note too, is really far detached from anybody else on Splyce. So even if they were gonna try to go for any semblance of a strat here, they wouldn't be able to really get that bomb down since it's outside in mid right now. Professor Chaos just sneaking around the map, hoping he can catch somebody on an off angle and pick up at least 1 or 2 more kills to try and keep the money a bit lower.
That's pretty much it. That's his mission if he chooses to accept it.
If he had the bomb right now, this wouldn't be too bad. But there we go. There's the kill he was looking for. Tries to turn it around against Kenny, but Kenny says hello and takes him down.
Backstabbed him. Splyce. Again, as a result of those upgraded pistols and the fact that economy wasn't really happy anyway. Double eco. Don't see that too often on the T side. That's exactly the situation they have at hand. And again, this is the kind of map that isn't super CT sided. It's mostly the terrorists will be getting more rounds, sort of 9-6, I'd say, 8-7 sort of score lines on, out of the ordinary. So Splyce, that CT side is going to be under a lot of scrutiny when the roles are reversed, when the shoe's on the other foot. Stack of EnVyUS on B, and they're the team with weapons. So look at this hyper-aggressive play through. And they are going to be getting right to the side. This is going to surprise Splyce. There's no doubting it. And Davey isn't going to be able to get the frag. He gets traded out. Splyce are like, what is going on here? Where have they all came from?
Ari's actually returning some damage quite well, but finally he's going to get taken down by Devil, and now everything is in the hands of Abe. Very confused Abe, I would imagine, after they get rushed like that, and he's actually going to be able to catch him out in the open with NBK finding that final kill. Bit of an unorthodox strat from EnVyUS, but it works, so can't fault it too much in that situation.
Just see here, with 1:25 to play with. They're around the back.
EnVyUS clearly, we want to speed this up a little, guys. You're taking too long to push the sights.
I want to get back to sleep, boys. Can we just get this over with fast? Let's just rush them. And now we're seeing a rush up long, because why not? It's EnVyUS.
Apex is going to be there on long with some of his teammates here. Kenny S supporting from the back a bit more. Keeping his eyes peeled on suicide steps for now, but after that last turn, I imagine Splyce are going to be a bit more cautious about things. Apex not actually connecting any bullets against Abe in that initial duel, but
See what's going for.
Nade goes out. Jason moves in. He's actually going to find the first kill. Kenny not connecting. Happy peeking out, though, from the roost. Takes down both Jason and Abe right after that one. And now Kenny, oh my goodness, unscoped at just the wrong time. And with that, Arya can punish him and take him back down.
Happy watching the close angle, actually misses out on all bullets. What's going on, Happy? Oh, he was spraying and landed 0. Sprayed a perfect circle. And now Splyce, with a player advantage, will be aggressing onto the site. It's NBK, who for now has done his job. Devil, in the meanwhile, isn't entirely sure whether there's a player sneaking around the back of him. Coming through, connector side, a spray through. Wooden panels is good, and NBK finalizes his triple. But you could see what was going on there. Apex tried to bait out into a trap, but then Kenny missed a shot, and Happy came in with 2. And that's the moment. I'd have been curious to see that from Aria's perspective. Must have been a very fast shot. But either way, EnVyUS hold on anyway, 10-2.
And NBK with a nice play to close things out there. Take it down to Aria in the alleyway through the panels, and then wins that last 1v1 with Davey. So EnVyUS, good in form. So far, it would seem no upsets to be found as of yet, or Splyce or faltering. They are, however, not going down without a fight. Some of these rounds are pretty close. Some mistakes being made by EnVyUS here and there. They look a little bit less solid, but on the rush play from Splyce to get themselves past the broken wall, and overall the platform, Happy just decimating them. Kenny getting a piece of the action here too, even spotting one through the smoke, takes down Aria. Davey's going to be the last one up and running. He actually does have a little bit of a glance to see through the smoke. Manages to find one lucky kill through that one, but that's it. Apex moves in and ends it.
I don't think the scoreline necessarily paints a full picture of how this game's gone, because Splyce have had 4 or 5 rounds that they could have feasibly won. But again, it just comes down to those 1v1, 2v2s where EnVyUS have shone 18 for 9 for Happy. Apex following up with a very respectable 13-7.
Shows the experience, I believe, in a lot of those clutch situations from EnVyUS, because normally they played a lot smarter for them, just a lot less mistakes being made there, getting themselves into the better positions against Splyce's members and whatnot, and it clearly shows in that regard that they are able to close out a lot more of those 1v1s and for the close clutch situations against Splyce, or otherwise Splyce may have had a much closer scoreline coming into the final 2 rounds of the half.
Now, what we're effectively witnessing is a mosquito hitting a windshield, honestly. Well, EnVyUS have had a few cracks in that windshield recently. Here's the trade-off. Splyce, Aria lands the headshot. Happy's in prime position to strike again. The flash is on point, but the second one actually wrecks him rather than his adversary. Kenny S and NBK will chime in for frags, and that leaves Davey on 20 health. Not for too much longer. Brave effort, takes down Kenny S before NBK silences him. 12-2, pretty much as expected.
Davey doing a bit of work near the end there and almost pulls off the 1v3, but finally surprised. I believe NBK was the last player pushing him from broken wall, but again, at the very end, brought down to a 1v1, so just going right back to what we said. Very close rounds, just Splyce not being able to clutch things out, losing a lot of players early on, so enemies get these huge advantages and then they just can't clutch things out from that point forward. So the guys on Splyce back into another investment here. They do have 2 Galeals, but they are fairly quickly out to push over here towards broken wall and platform. They're held back a bit though because of the smokes coming in from the CTs and Happy's aggressive push with the op.
Devil now holding a position Happy was before. Of course, when you have the AWP, there's no need to be there. Going to use it to the long range advantage. Oh, they're both going to walk by NBK. No, they don't. They put him down. With these, Aria with a second as well, but now it's Happy from Chicken Coop relocating to his team's benefit. He is going to have to connect the dots here. Have to feel a couple more times if they want to win this round and take a commanding 13-2 lead. Aria! Where did that come from? The knife between the shoulder blades for his third. Oh, Apex gets humiliated. I suppose he can just cry into his rounds though, because EnVyUS will lead 12-3 at halftime.
And with that, guys, that is going to close things out here now for the half. We'll be back in just a couple of moments with the second one. into the second half we go, ladies and gentlemen. EnVyUS with a clear lead against Splyce, although it doesn't necessarily appear that way if you look at the players still left alive at the end of each round, coming very, very close on quite a few of them, especially towards the end of that half. But ultimately, Splyce still very far behind, have a long road to recovery if they want to have any chance of somehow swinging a comeback.
Well, I totally agree with you. At the same time, I feel this is where EnVyUS would have shone even more had they have not lost the knife round. So I don't think there's any respite for Splyce. It's right back into the lion's den, and they are being eaten alive from Apex. Headshot onto Ape. They still have some flashes to try and stop this push, but the unfortunate fact is that the bomb now going to A, which is where they only have Jason all by his lonesome. I say that actually, EnVyUS have taken their foot off the accelerator there. They're playing mind games with Splyce.
Very patient now as well, just to run the clock a little bit here. Apex and Devil are the ones waiting just outside of the mid connector along with the long A approach there, whereas they keep the rest of their teammates still primed to go into B. I still think that this is going to be a B hit, but with the delay, they're trying to throw them for a run. And actually, no, it looks like they're shifting away now, so it is going to change itself over to being the A hit after all. But I believe the plan there was to wait things out a little bit and see what happened. But yeah, as you can see on Splyce's end of things, basically no one has moved. But it's correlating now. Professor Chaos going into the site just as they start to approach the mid connector and long. And Davy's also going to start to shift out too. But someone is going to need to stay behind to watch for a drop, because that play is coming in from Happy.
This is where aggression from the CTs could actually prove to be very, very valuable, just to find out information. But for 25 seconds, information has been gathered, and that is that EnVyUS are on a hot pursuit onto the A site, which is where Jason, the aforementioned A defender, has met his demise. Apex Kenny S, both padding those stats. Bomb planted. EnVyUS will be romping towards a victory here. You have to feel Splyce have a 2v4 clutch, and this is a must-win round if they want to stop putting the bricks up and building something special. Aria, Davey, nice frag from Aria onto Apex, but the time is running scarce, and although they do have a defuse kit, there's still 3 Frenchmen they have to face off against.
Yeah, and indeed, now they're just going to push them as well. But they didn't notice Aria on the right side of the shed. And look at this now. Davey also gets a peek from outside of A main. They're messing it up. Keep in mind, though, the Devil's still alive and well. But there's Davey moving in. However, he's so close, and I don't think he has enough time to grab this defuse. Still 2 seconds left on that clock. And EnVyUS will just barely escape with that. But some big mistakes being made on the end there. Just going for that blind aggression does cost them all their players' lives. Thankfully, though, it's just a pistol. And with that under their belt, they should still be in good shape.
I mean, that's just pure arrogance from EnVyUS, right?
Yeah.
It's like, we can play the time, we have to, let's just charge, boys, let's do it. We haven't checked these corners, who cares? We're better than them. Yeah, they just about survived by the skin of their teeth, yeah. That was very close to being a defuse, but EnVyUS 3 Mac 10s, they're going right back into this. And they are pushing the site that sees only Davies Mag 7 present for the CTs.
NBK now. Sit up just a little bit here to show you if you can spot anybody going for the aggressive broken wall. Info gathering play there that Davey is thinking about doing at the moment, but they need to be very careful, because if they have any chance whatsoever of swinging these rounds in their favor, they need to try and take them. As upsetting on this one would be a huge boon to these players. Now for Davey, though, sitting back, not going to be moving in just yet. He's got the shotgun. He wants to use it up close and personal when they go out. That's going to be CSGO nades suck. So
they are so random. So random. You're like, that nade's going to
literally goes
damage.
Right past them, but
brilliant. You know. And then another time, nade will land like 10 feet behind you, does like 80.
Apparently his entire back is just made of metal, but that's a good push from Professor Chaos as he moves in. It takes down Happy. And all of a sudden now the guys from Splyce have a bit of an edge up against EnVyUS, but now they're moving and they're slowly taking control of the A-bomb site. Kenny S and Apex picking up 2 more frags. Abe's traded out 1, down to a 3-on-3, but the big issue now is that Splyce have lost complete control of the site area.
I don't know if you heard that, but that was the sound of EnVyUS potentially throwing away pistol rounds. Apex with a double at the end. EnVyUS 14-3.
Great Phantom.
You know what? Blue, analyze this game for us. Let's go. Throw you on the spot.
I mean, no, honestly.
The only reason I said that is just to see the expression in your face. I'm golden. You don't need to say anything, mate. I don't envy the task of
In all honesty, like, let's look at it. Like, it's come down to clutches a lot of the time, and EnVyUS are just always, like, ending up being better players. Like I said before, the pure raw amount of experience and the raw skill of EnVyUS at the moment is just destroying Splyce. And despite some of the rounds getting a lot closer and the scoreline not really telling the full story, EnVyUS overall are just the better team at this point in time. And that's what's allowing them to hold such a huge lead over Splyce.
Nice. I was actually expecting a serious answer there.
Thank you.
Well done.
I aimed at
I completely agree. Completely agree. They haven't really seen any extravagant strats. We haven't really seen EnVyUS sweating. A lot of these rounds they have just been playing solid Counter-Strike, and as you say, a lot of these clutches, it could have gone either way. The experience has shone through, and the teamwork and cohesion as well, I would say, has shone through from EnVyUS. But Splyce have to somehow, some way, come back from 14-3 disadvantage, I should say. And EnVyUS again aren't going to be going hell for leather rushing. They're going to be playing slow for now. Here comes the pop flash. There's 2 players stacked now. Crossfire down. Nate's going to get 2 kills. Looking for a 3rd one as well. And that's Oria's time to shine. Just the 1 kill, but Jason elsewhere on the map is going to put down MBK, and this is looking good for Splyce.
All this being done with pistols too, so it's brought into Happy's control now to try and bring this back from the brink, pre-firing everywhere he thinks someone from Splyce is going to be. As he works his way back up now, though, all he's done with that is given away his position to Jason R, who's just around the corner here, and going out towards Reb is going to be a big risk, but he needs to recover the bomb. Mid-air shot to take down Jason R, and a long-range one against Professor Chaos here to maybe close things out. Not able to find a better gun to work with just as of yet, but he will, again, wasting no time at all, just rush up to this bomb site. Looks like he's going to be finding the plant, but actually no, he's going to go for the fake here to find an extra kill. It works out great, but with 8 seconds left, now he needs to go for it, and he's got to be careful because Davey is rounding around him here, and in fact, we won't even see enough time for Happy to recover from that one. Davey moves in, gets the kill for free, and it is going to be a 4th round for Splyce.
I've got to say, though, Splyce got away with murder. Why peek 1 by 1? Why not just let him get the bomb plant and then push through together? I think if Happy comes up there, or pardon me, I'm not entirely sure. Who was it? Was it Happy at the end?
Yeah.
If Happy comes up and gets the 2nd kill, then Splyce only have themselves to blame in that situation.
I think it's the same reason as to why they upset there on the pistol round too, and they almost end up losing that one. It's a bit of overconfidence right now, starting to brim. And I feel like they're a little bit too secure with their position in this matchup.
Back 10's picked up. This does make a lot of sense though for EnVyUS. They didn't have a lot of funds to play with. They know that Splyce are in a forced buy and it's not going to be fantastic. So 3 players lacking head armor. And again, as with yesterday with the quad Mac 10s, it's going to be fast, it's going to be furious, and it's going to be Apex getting 2 kills, making a 3rd as well, making a 4th, setting this round on fire. And it's all down to Jason. He's scratching his head. Apex goes hungry for the ace, as he should. In all honesty, that was crazy.
Apex has been the man of the event so far for EnVyUS, and he continues to show it right here, even against a team like Splyce. That's impressive to do. So for Jason R, you know where he is. You can see the cross spray coming in from all directions right now. It's essentially, if he moves anywhere in the wrong direction, then he's going to take some heat from the bullets there. So trying to stay alive, but ultimately Happy moving back up from the tier ramp there, catches him in the site connector, and now we see EnVyUS getting the match point. 11
of them in total. See Splyce in a force buy. Of course they're going to force, with it being the last round potentially. How much are they going to have into this round? Well, the answer is pretty much nothing.
Yeah. Upgrade
pistols.
pistols.
Like to be in their shoes right now.
CZs are good.
5.7s as well, like solid pistols, but a lack of grenades, no defuse kits, no way of really surviving the longer haul. But this could play into their advantage. Getting up close and personal with these kind of pistols could very well prove to be downfall. Such a sketchy fight, a 1-for-1.
Oh no!
Oh, the Zeus miss, and that's probably going to be the map slipping away as EnVyUS take the 16-4 lead. And indeed the victory. We expected it to be fairly one-sided. EnVyUS didn't disappoint, and they cruise into a 2-1 score now. Just 1 win away, Blue, from securing themselves a major spot.
And for the guys on Splyce, they're now in the chopping block position as they go down 1-2. They're going to face off against many of our teams that we're losing out today. But guys, the analysts are ready to dissect this game. So let's toss it down to them.
Have fun.
Thanks very much, you guys. It does seem like it was all too familiar of a tale for Splyce, just struggling to overcome that EnVyUS hurdle, and a convincing stuff right at the end there as well. Apex, I think, is going to be our first discussion topic, because he was actually the key integral factor of not necessarily just this success versus Splyce, but he was a big talking point yesterday in EnVy's performance as well.
You know what? Yeah, just throughout this tournament so far, he's been doing a pretty good job of getting entry frags, which is, well, you know, fair enough. It's his role.
It's his role, yes.
But you know, he's pretty good at it, and that makes the job a lot easier for EnVy. So him being on fire as he has been so far, leading up to this point, does make the entire EnVy engine flow a lot better.
Sorry, I know that sounded like a stupid question. I'm just trying our best not to
focus on.
I just don't want to
obvious.
beat up on Splyce. I mean, they're still, they're still not out as well. They are still 1-1, and that's because their second loss conceded. So they will have a chance to fight for survival tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we did preface it with that this was always going to be an uphill struggle for Splyce, and it was. I guess the one positive you can draw in is the fact that we did highlight David drop room on their T side that did actually end up giving them 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So they've got something going for them there, but.
Fact of the matter is, if you don't really have anything that you're better at than your opponent, it gets really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really go for.
We are really doing some top-notch analysis today.
I mean, you can't go with skill versus skill
Yes.
against Envy in this situation, can you? When you're Splyce, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And then they don't have the strategies, they don't have the executes to really base off of to try to overcome just the skill that Envy has. Simple as that.
And that's where Splyce do find a little bit of respite with some strategy, perhaps some unusual positioning. That's kind of the only. You're suggesting that's the only real chance if they had was
if they had more structure, yeah.
have more structure.
Exactly. Make it uncomfortable for your opponents. That's the one way you can make it happen against a team that is simply better than you.
Yeah, and well, I guess there were a couple of rounds that got fairly close, but I think that was more down to the fact that we were feeling so confident that at a certain point they just wanted to do what they felt like. And I think it was, towards the later end of the first half, you could actually see them doing something like the CT side doing a B-rush, which is not something you see all that often. Obviously, it was up against a bit of a force by / eco from Splyce, but Envy kind of felt like the Envy that gets their groove in and just do whatever they want.
Well, I mean, we also saw the power of the MAC-10, just even at the end there. It just seemed like it's Envy's thing now.
Worked. Yeah.
Yeah, you just buy that. You spent just over $1,000 and you just decimate as long as there's no head armor. It's something that probably, I mean, it suits Envy's playstyle. There's no doubt about it. We're going to cut this one rather short. There isn't too much to say when Envy do walk over Splyce in the fashion that they did over on Cobblestone. However, we fortunately have Happy, who is standing by with Mitch, who's hopefully going to be able to shed some light on how Envy are feeling and doing, getting closer to their major.
Thank you very much, Alex and the desk. I am here with Happy, who went ham in those last couple rounds as well, storming onto the B site, clicking heads. That was fun to watch. Happy, obviously a pretty solid result for you guys. If I would ask you if you found this game fairly easy, with respect, of course, to Splyce, would you agree?
Yeah, of course. With all due respect, it was a really easy game. I think we just played our game and we were kind of hot, and they just couldn't find weaknesses in our defenses. And when you get so many city rounds on Cbble, it's like usually, tells a story.
That has to be the best answer I've ever heard in an interview from a 16-4 game. So thanks for expanding on that a little bit for us. Yesterday was tough for you guys. Obviously not the result you were looking for there as well, especially after everyone was like, Envy's back, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for, or at least we saw glimpses of it. Yesterday, not so much. Can you tell us a little bit about what maybe went into that result, as it wasn't a great one for you guys?
Well, we really wanted our revenge against Gambit, but I don't know, we did exactly the same as Splyce. We had trouble identifying the defenses and how to play against it, and I think we made some, small mistakes that cost us many important rounds. And I guess it came down to the fact that we were not clicking heads with the gameplay we are using right now. It's important.
And I spoke to Nathan as well at MBK earlier on, and he said, we're very much back to the drawing board here. We're going to try some new things and just grind our way back up to the top. He told us a little bit about maybe what's changed, but from your perspective, can you tell us about if there has been this strong mentality change with obviously Devil calling and you guys having a different approach now?
I mean, we are doing a lot of stuff, and yeah, we are trying out like really different approach to the game and how we should play and how we will feel comfortable all together playing the game. And obviously it requires some time again, and we just lack consistency right now.
Thanks for your honesty and thank you for a fantastic interview, Happy. It was a pleasure to have you up here. And of course, we hope and we probably will see them yet again. Of course, Envy go now 2-1 after a little bit of a rough start. But after the break, when we come back, we are going to find out our first team to qualify for ESL 1 Cologne from this event. That's right, qualifying games right around the corner. Stay tuned and we'll see you after the break.